What traits in a girl do you find attractive or impressive aside from her physical appearance, guys? Critical thinking S's are hot. I would adjust this to curiosity. Curious people who investigate, inquire, and show genuine interest often use critical thinking as a byproduct. I actually say this impresses me in anyone. When managing people, if I have a curious employee who wants to know why something works the way it does, or wants to find the tool or technology to improve, they are always earmarked for career investment. In women, finding a curious person means that you will be with someone who will likely not bore you over the long haul because curiosity as a personality trait means that she's the type of person to engage in things that are important and that keeps that every day is the same creep that tends to infiltrate a relationship. Because I am being bombarded with dumb people can be curious. I think those are missing my meaning. I mean more intellectually curious and less what does this electrical socket taste like. Went on a date last week and the woman never took her phone out of her purse. Super hot. On the flip side, my wife and I have our phones out quite a bit, not always though when we go out, but it's mostly because we're asking each other questions about things we need answers to medical, about our house, how to fix, etc., to things we are talking about while out. Or it's to find the next place to go or research restaurants, food we can make later. Just to say, it doesn't always have to be all or nothing. Things like confidence, a good sense of humor, intelligence, all that is super important. But for me, the ES thing a woman can do is be calm, not calm as in quiet, as in calm when goes sideways or something unexpected happens. Having someone who is reliable and stable as a partner is so crucial in life. My wife is a baseline stressed, anxious person. She always is doing a lot of stuff for her career and taking on too much, so I feel like the calm caretaker a lot of the time. However, in times of crisis, she locks in and is such a calm and collected source of comfort. I had a horrible disc herniation a few years back that resulted in such bad pain I was writhing and screaming in agony. She called an ambulance, explained what was happening, and made sure I was sorted. She called my parents, handled them, and made sure everything I needed I had. She was an absolute rock star. I can't describe how grateful I was and how taken care of I felt. From there we sort of realized that day-to-day maintenance I'm better at, but in times of crisis she's second to none. I'll never forget that though. I have never felt so loved and cared for in my life. We were in a pretty obvious attempted mugging situation just recently, caught off guard without our defensive equipment accessible, taser, mace, and such. I was proud of us for how well we coordinated our safety, without a word said between us. Just immediate recognition, action, and making ourselves and our friend a not worth it target. I stood ground to distract and placate the person too late to have everyone run, as my wife got our friend to her car. Then my wife walked back halfway to make sure I was okay and make it seem that the situation was being watched and that the police may or may not already be called. It ended friendly, but everyone involved got the picture. We're not an easy target. It all happened very fast, but was absolutely fluid. My wife's my ride or die, and that event proved it even more so. We're aware, and we keep each other safe. It was pretty incredible looking back on it. Intelligence, good looks only go so far when you realize she doesn't even know basic life S's. Years ago, I had been dating a girl who was getting a degree in neuroscience. Even though I wasn't a scientist of any sort, I loved talking to her and listening to her go on and on about the brain and central nervous system. Not only was she smart, but she was passionate and interesting. We split up when I moved to Los Angeles without her. One night, I was at a bar with my friend and I was talking to a girl who had come to LA to be a singer. I asked something dumb like, "So, you're a singer, eh?" And this girl responded by launching into a full-voiced version of "I Will Always Love You" in the middle of the bar. In that moment, I vividly remember thinking, I miss my neuroscientist. 2 weeks later, I took a plane to the East Coast, called her up, and wooed her from her new boyfriend. She moved to Sokol to get her PhD in neuroscience. We got married and have 3 awesome kids. She still blows my mind when she talks about her work. Not exclusive to girls, but having a hobby, interest that they are very knowledgeable, passionate with. Even if it's something super benign like painting nails or baseball, I just love people who can ramble on about their interest, especially if I'm not into it. It's like peeking into another world. Knew a girl that was into knitting, but not just like knew how to cross-stitch, Full on had a setup where she would turn wool into yarn and even had a favorite small sheep farm she would order from exclusively. Was interesting as hell to me. I find a woman's voice to be one of the best factors in determining if I'm attracted to a woman. Here's the answer I was looking for. I was a phone operator for over a decade. I initially went into it because random dudes would just go nuts for my voice all the time. I'd call in for customer support on my phone and the tech guy would ask for my number and things like that. I still sell my voice for a living, but not in the industry anymore. My clients are all women now, but even though they aren't attracted to me Wally for the most part, I still get comments on it. Tons are surprised at my age too. I'm 46, but still easily sound like I'm in my 20s. I hated my voice for a long time because I have a lisp and had to take speech therapy for years. I got bullied a ton for it in school. So this year I decided to get out of my comfort zone and start posting comedy videos on TikTok. I was so scared to post videos online for a long time because I was afraid I'd get bullied because of my voice, just like when I was in school. And I do unfortunately get a lot of negative comments from men on my videos about my voice. But I'm having fun posting every day and it's helping me learn to stop caring so much what people think. Accountability. If she can openly admit when she's wrong or that she ed up, that's attractive as it shows maturity and ability to judge yourself impartially, and it means you are less likely to repeat the mistake. I have dated girls in the past who could never just say, I was wrong, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry. I get that it's hard sometimes, but it's relieving to admit wrongdoing and ask for forgiveness. But when you obsessively chase not having done wrong in the first place, it's actually a tax on both parties. Being self-sufficient. I don't want to date a dependent. When my wife and I were dating, one of the things that made her stand out was that she was totally self-sufficient. She didn't need help, nor did she expect it. We dated for almost 2 years before making the decision to move in together, and that was mostly a confluence of circumstances. She wanted to live on her own because it was freedom for her. I would add something to this. Overly dependent is a big no-no. Dependent is not the worst case thing. I would appreciate that I am at the very least valued in the relationship and needed. I have dated women before who kept telling me that they don't need me, and that made me feel like I was like some vase that could be replaced if it ever broke. If she doesn't need me, why be here at all? On the contrast, I hate hyper-independence. I've spent years building up S's and self-esteem, and I think I have a lot of utility to offer my partner. If my partner literally needs me for nothing whatsoever, that is extremely unattractive. I absolutely love being there to help my partner, and there is nothing that grates me more than a partner that never asks me for help, especially if it's obvious that they need it or could use it. Like, yes, I don't want someone completely dependent on me, but I think the opposite is worse. Like, given the choice between a hyper-dependent partner and a hyper-independent partner, I would choose the former. Like, at least I feel useful in the first case, the latter case makes me feel completely worthless. One of the main reasons I started dating my current girlfriend was because she accidentally spilled popcorn in my car after our first date, profusely apologized, asked if she could clean it up. Car is a pus, so I didn't care. Got home, she texted me apologizing again. I dunno why, but her caring about spilling popcorn in my Thai car made me realize, hey, maybe she can care about me too. Confidence. It's exhausting to be in a relationship with someone who constantly requires reassurance, praise, and affirmation. Know your worth, and if others don't recognize it, move on and find relationships with people who do. I understand what you mean, but keep in mind that praise, affirmation, and reassurance is absolutely something that everybody needs and wants. I'm sure there's some experience behind your comment, but it's about finding a balance between knowing your own worth and being with someone who empowers that understanding. For some people, their own worth is easier to understand with a bit of outside help. Sometimes I feel like I just like everyone. My standards are almost non-existent. If I spend more than a few hours every day for like 3 weeks with someone, I'm at risk of falling in love because I don't do that for anybody. Had to address this same situation today actually, and tell a girl I'm friends with that I need some distance because Godam, we've been talking a lot and I'm starting to catch feelings, and I don't like that. That's some scary right there. You guys sound here like you're picking an office chair, not a partner human being. I'll see myself out. Well, she has to be supportive and comforting, but also able to function on her own. If she has good posture, that's a plus too. It's not my fault that it makes her sound like an office chair. And honestly, I'm in a committed relationship with my office chair. She holds my butt and I trust her not to fall apart at a moment's notice. A lot of people are saying intelligence and stuff. I like baking or cooking S's and a hard worker. My fiancé had gotten 2 raises in the past 7 months at her job and is constantly getting overtime hours. While I was making dinner for her when she got home from her 3:11 p.m. shift, she came home and cleaned my room for me. I didn't even realize until I came in with the food made to surprise her. I thought she was in there laying down from a hard day. Nope. She is caring, giving, and most of all hardworking. A woman who is comfortable with herself is extremely attractive. Comfortable meaning she's not put on. There's no production to her showing up. No affect or attempt to be something. This girl shows up in a skirt and beat-up Chuck Taylors. And she's talking about a book related to her field of expertise, not in a smartest way, but because she's so interested in her passions. Just comfortable with herself, doing her thing, not trying. Why as understanding and support. It means more than anyone can ever say. Being more proactive in their affections, it really hits hard when you actually feel loved or at least desired in some way. Willing to be goofy or weird around you, talk nerdy and geek out. A girl who is going to go down the rabbit hole with you about how zombies are unrealistic, but let's have a plan just in case is way more fun and interesting and attractive than a girl who spends hours on their appearance only to just talk about something deep such as what's the meaning of life? Or do you believe in the existence of God? Because seriously, it's not a fun conversation and in the end just kind of sits there like, oh, okay, cool. You don't have to be smart, you don't have to be dumb. You don't have to be the most pretty girl in the room. Big boobs, small boobs don't really matter. The size of your also doesn't really matter. Just be someone who is enjoyable to be around and make your affections and desire clear. Don't flake on us. Don't play games with our emotions. Don't look at us as providers. We are your partners. We love you. Don't turn us into an ATM or some kind of convenient roommate that just splits a check with you. We aren't a status symbol and we aren't some unfeeling rock there to do nothing but supply you with all your dreams and wishes. Don't think, oh hey, we are married. All romance is out the window, or don't have to take care of yourself because hey, you're married. Love us, value us, comfort us, and we will do the same for you. I will never again date a girl without all of these. Friends, well-defined interests, hobbies, preferably ones that involve more than just looking attractive. I'm talking even simple things like their own established favorite music, movies, etc., something equating to a career and career goals. I don't care if it's school, or working in customer service at an office, or rising up the ranks of a retail store, but something with intent. And frankly, I think that most of the things that others are saying in this thread, things like confidence, intelligence, sense of humor, etc., are all easier to find in people who have these 3 things. They're basically some cornerstones of having an actual independent personality. Basically, I've dated far too many women whose entire personality, self-worth, and motivation is simply being a girlfriend. Emotional intelligence. Probably in a majority of the relationships I've been in or seen, the man is responsible for the woman's emotions. It's all about him managing her disproportionate responses and poor communication, because she was never taught that her emotions are not facts and she is supposed to figure out for herself the best way to respond to them. I've had the pleasure of dating a few women who take responsibility for their own feelings and for communicating their needs clearly. The relationship is just so much more smooth and easy to enjoy and be part of. It reduces a lot of the hang-ups around jealousy, self-image issues, trust, personal disagreements. It makes the relationship so good that it's practically a cheat code. Meets all of her responsibilities and doesn't find the most meaningless excuse to cancel stuff. Someone who's honest with herself. Someone who's honest with you. Someone who is aware of their emotional regulation and continually tries to be better. Someone who does not play emotional games. Someone who, if called out, will pause and take an honest reflection to asses if they might have thing to change and then change them. Someone who demands the exact same thing from you while still exhibiting those same behaviors. Someone who isn't perpetually lazy. Someone who chooses to do more than the bare minimum. Someone who's clean. One who cut loose but knows the boundaries between carefree and reckless. I should stop. Someone who, whether religious or not, is willing to talk about those kinds of things with an unbiased viewpoint. I am an atheist myself, but some of the most interesting conversations you can have are with theists that are willing to have a mutually respectful, civil conversation. Make sure you do the same, and don't be a hypocrite. This isn't even exclusive to romance. I just really like talking about deeply personal, philosophical, moral things like that. Being independent and able to fight her own battles. I'm happy to fight them for her, but knowing she can handle herself and still chooses to be with me is really attractive. She doesn't feel tied to me in some way, financial, emotional crutch, etc. Following this thought through, in a traditional cis-het relationship, children might be on the table. If I'm not around, I want to know the mother of my children can be a calm, confident lawyer-like advocate with the tenacity of a rabid cocaine bear. I know she will advocate for our kids as much as I will, but won't be an off-the-wall unreasonable Karen. I have to do the rounds and apologize on her behalf as well, and knowing that is amazing. That being said, I'll still be around to squash bugs and open jars. Edited typos. Intelligence is the big one for me. Someone who is not only on par, but rather who excels in scholastics and is well-read are what really turns my crank. Someone I can talk to and who can challenge me. Another thing is being cool. I remember when I broke up with my ex, and then got with my now wife, the thing that stood out to me was how cool she was. Where my ex could be a little tightly wound and a little overly pragmatic, my wife is very cool and isn't afraid to make some leaps of faith and have a little adventure. Whatever is the opposite of helplessness? The ability to diagnose a basic problem and solve it. I've run into a couple that are totally stumped with something as simple as a remote not working. Try changing the battery, or asking if I can come fix their broken pool because the cleaner hose pulled out of the wall. Push it back in. It's so refreshing to find a woman that tries to fix stuff or figure out what's wrong instead of immediately calling for dad or their boyfriend. The girl should be responsible. I've encountered many girls who are like more than friends with me, but one trait which most of them lacked was the art of being responsible. Frankly, most girls I know are from rich backgrounds, and frankly, while in the school-college phase, most of them act very, very irresponsible. They don't know the most basic ethics of life and don't know if their actions are hurting somebody or not. They are just lost in their own fantasy wonderland in which they get each and everything they want without even asking. Their parents casually gift them substances worth lakhs of rupees, mostly to save taxes which they didn't even think they needed or wanted. Enough of my personal rant, let's go back to the original world which only boys know. If she takes the initiative. I hate when girls expect men to make the move because of tradition. For example, invite someone out, offers a drink, or expect the man to pay for the restaurant visit. As much as these are social expectations, the more powerful it feels when a girl says, "Let's split the bill." Also, if she has a decent savings. It's not about the money specifically, but a decent savings shows me that she's economically sensible, doesn't just use money just because they're available, and also likely doesn't waste money on useless trash. If she doesn't give a flying AB how she's dressed, if she wears clothes that look more practical or comfortable instead of fancy, stylish, and expensive, I assume she's confident and calm in herself. If she's clumsy and doesn't get embarrassed or nervous. If her friends also generally seem to be somewhat sensible, non-smokers, smart, reflective, have self-insight, kind, shows she knows how to be in a health social group. If they can hold their own in a conversation is impressive. I've been out on dates with women who barely said 2 words. I had to do all the talking, and I eventually ran out of things to say. I also regard their lack of talking as not being interested, and they don't need to spend their time wasting my time and theirs, and wasting my money. It's okay to say, "Sorry, you're just not my cup of tea." If they don't say it, I will, and I will try to be as gentlemanly as possible about it. As for attractive traits, I like a girl who can laugh at herself and who doesn't take herself too seriously. Also, laugh with me and never at me. I also like to see the smile in her eyes, as the eyes are the windows to one's soul. And as I mentioned elsewhere, I like to flirt with women, and I like it if they flirt back. And if she's wanting to be kissed, she can also take the initiative, just in case I'm a little bit shy or unsure of if she'd welcome my kissing her. These days, everyone, men and women, are so guarded it seems like we're becoming more afraid of being the one who makes the first move. And we need to let down our guard and stop being so overly sensitive. She's intelligent, has a sense of humor, and has a personality. Can't stand airheads no matter how attractive you are. Could be an 89 or 10. If I can't hold a conversation, I personally call it quits before even sleeping with her. Hopefully, she's kind and playful. I will never be with someone that is stuck up and thinks she's above everyone else. You have to treat the garbage man with same respect you'll treat your colleagues. This is the bare minimum. I know this kinda bends the appearance rule, but I think it still counts kinda. I like a girl that's a tiny bit, for lack of a better word, boyish, but still presents very feminine. It's almost like a dissonance between appearance and behavior. Like if she dresses up super girly, hair done nice, cute outfits, but behaves in an unladylike manner, like burping loudly, etc. Typical things a man might get called piggish for, just not to an extreme degree, because I have met some women that are just flat out disgusting. Hobbies and interests that aren't traditionally associated with women, like supercars, cigars, watches, video games, etc. Basically a girly girl on the outside and a tomboy on the inside. Intelligence is hard to define and hard to qualify, but I've heard it said that in really good pairings each partner thinks of the other as smarter than me. That said, I prefer to think of it as someone being curious vs. incurious. There is a vast gulf between navigating the world with someone who wonders and asks the next question vs. someone whose worldview is fixed. The best relationships I've been in have been with empathetic people, folks who check in emotionally if only to see how people are doing, if everything is okay. I saw people because this goes beyond just the romantic relationship. This kind of trait tends to extend to friends, family, etc. Conversely, I was once very emotionally invested in someone who was an A+ expert in ghosting, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that this was functionally the exact opposite of the kind of emotional outreach that makes for a good relationship. Fundamentally, sharing a sense of humor is key. If you might love, respect, and be deeply attracted to someone, but if you can't goof around and can't crack each other up, spending time with that person won't be fun in the way it should be. Rewarding and exciting, maybe, but not fun. ChatGPT is looking for one. Intelligence. Many people find intelligence to be an attractive and impressive quality in a person. This could include traits such as curiosity, critical thinking S's, and a passion for learning. Kindness, and compassion are often seen as admirable traits in a person. Someone who is empathetic and caring towards others can be very attractive to many people. Sense of humor. A good sense of humor is often seen as an attractive quality in a person. Being able to make others laugh and see the lighter side of things can be very appealing. Confidence, and self-assurance are often seen as impressive qualities in a person. Someone who is comfortable in their own skin and knows their worth can be very attractive. Ambition. Many people find ambition and drive to be attractive qualities in a person. Someone who is passionate about their goals and works hard to achieve them can be very inspiring. These are just a few examples, but ultimately, what people find attractive or impressive in another person can vary greatly depending on their individual preferences and values.